Have you ever, just stopped and wondered about the real basics of living well? Like, what actions actually lead to good things happening in our lives, and what choices lead down a path to suffering or stuff we just don't want?
It's such a core question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And today, we're doing a deep dive into this ancient text that tackles that exact issue head on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes us back to the Kosala region. We hear about the revered Gautama, the Buddha who was famous for his teachings. He runs into this group of householders and Brahmins from a place called Sāleyyaka. They seem pretty curious.
Okay, so these Sāleyyaka folks, what did they want to know?
Well, they didn't mess around. They went straight to Gautama with this really direct question. They asked, what's the reason? What's the cause? Basically, why do some people, after they die, end up in, a bad place, a state of deprivation, a lower realm, even hell?
Wow, straight to the point.
And then, flip side, what's the reason? What's the cause? Why do other people after death reappear in a good place, like a heavenly world?
So they're asking about the mechanics of it all. What makes the difference?
Precisely. And Gautama's first answer, it was short, but really packed a punch.
What did he say?
He said, due to unrighteous conduct and unwholesome conduct, some go to bad destinations. Simple as that.
Okay.
And due to righteous conduct and wholesome conduct, some go to good destinations.
Right, but I bet, just like those Sāleyyaka people, you're probably thinking, okay, but what does that mean? Unrighteous, wholesome. Let's unpack that.
And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to get into Gautama's super detailed explanation of what these two types of conduct actually involve.
And this isn't just some old history lesson.
Not at all. It's like a practical ethical guide. It gives you clear ideas about actions, body, speech, and even mind, and how they shape your experience, your future. Really practical stuff.
Okay, let's start with the tough stuff then. What did Gautama identify as this unrighteous conduct, the kind that leads to those bad destinations? He broke it down, didn't he?
He did, very systematically. Actions of the body, actions of speech, and actions of the mind.
Let's tackle the body first. 3 types.
3 types, yeah. The first one is killing living beings. Pepefi.
Okay, killing. Seems straightforward.
Well, yes, but Gautama goes deeper. He describes the person who does this as cruel, bloody-handed, always ready to strike or assault, shameless, and crucially, lacking compassion for all living beings.
So the whole mindset, the cruelty, the lack of compassion, not just the physical act in isolation.
Exactly. That internal state is what makes it truly unwholesome. It's about the ill will behind it.
Makes sense. What's the second bodily action?
Taking what is not given. Adinade. Basically stealing.
Right. Taking stuff that isn't yours?
Yeah, whether it's in a village or out in the forest, doesn't matter. It's grabbing property that belongs to someone else. Illicit acquisition, as the text puts it. It's about disrespecting others' ownership.
Got it. And the third one?
The third is sexual misconduct, kamisu michikari.
Okay, and how does he define that?
It's quite specific. Engaging in misconduct with people who are protected, basically. Protected by their mother, father, both parents, brother, sister, relatives.
So family bonds are important here.
Very. And also those under the protection of others, those who already have a husband, those under a penalty, or even, interestingly, those who are just betrothed, symbolized by wearing a garland.
So it's about respecting existing relationships and commitments, these clear social boundaries?
Precisely. It maintains social harmony and trust.
Okay, so those are the 3 bodily actions. Then he moves on to speech, right? Words can cause a lot of harm.
Immense harm. He details 4 types of unwholesome verbal actions. First up is lying. Musavati.
Lying, we all know what that is.
Yes, but again, it's specific. It's deliberately speaking falsehoods, especially when you're asked as a witness, say, in an assembly, a court, among family, in a guild, or even before royalty.
So, in formal situations where truth really matters.
Right. And it includes saying you know something when you don't, or you don't know when you do. Same for saying you saw when you didn't, or didn't see when you did.
Misrepresenting your knowledge or perception.
Exactly. And doing it whether it's for yourself, for someone else, or even just for some, tiny material gain. The intent to deceive is the problem.
Even for small things.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Second is slanderous speech. Pasudavako. This is divisive talk.
Like gossip.
It's more malicious than just idle gossip, I think. It's about taking what you hear from one person and deliberately repeating it to someone else, specifically to cause a rift between them.
Intentionally trying to break people up.
Yes, or repeating something you heard elsewhere to cause trouble for the first person. Text says this person delights in division and speaks words that actively tear people apart.
Wow, that's quite a destructive use of language.
It really is. Then number 3 is harsh speech, vrusavako.
Harsh speech, like yelling or being abusive.
Exactly. Speech that's rough, coarse, hurtful, abusive, stuff that provokes anger in others, or, interestingly, speech that leads to a lack of concentration. It disrupts peace, basically.
Both the listener's peace and probably your own, I imagine.
Very likely. And the 4th verbal action is frivolous talk. Samphapalapi.
Frivolous talk, like just chatting nonsense.
Sort of. It's described as speaking at the wrong time, talking about things that aren't real or aren't beneficial. Speech that isn't related to the Dhamma, the principles of right living, or ethical discipline.
So pointless chatter.
Yeah, speech without purpose, without a clear point, or stuff that's just not connected to any genuine benefit. Makes you think about how much we communicate that actually fits that description today.
Oof, yeah. Okay, so body and speech covered. What about the mind? Thoughts count too?
Absolutely. Gautama outlines 3 types of unwholesome mental actions. These are the seeds from which the others can grow. First is covetousness, abhishalu.
Coveting, wanting what others have.
Exactly, that inner greed, looking at someone else's property and thinking, oh, if only that were mine. It's the mental act of desiring what belongs to another.
The precursor to potentially taking it.
Precisely. The second mental action is ill will, bhayapanachito.
Ill will, like holding a grudge.
It's stronger than that, I think. It's described as having active, malicious intent. Thoughts of real harm, like may these beings be slaughtered or bound or utterly destroyed, may they just not exist.
Whoa, that's intense negative energy, pure malice.
It is, a mind really corrupted by hatred. And the third mental action, and this is a big one, is wrong view, michadindiko.
Wrong view, what does that mean?
Gautama calls it a perverted view. It's basically a viewpoint that denies fundamental ethical and spiritual principles.
Well, what principles?
Like denying that there's any real consequence to actions. There is no giving, no offering, no sacrifice, no fruit or result of good and bad actions.
So a kind of nihilism. Actions don't matter.
Pretty much. It also includes denying this world, no other world, no mother, no father, no spontaneously arisen beings. And crucially, denying that there are enlightened beings, recluses and Brahmins, who understand reality and teach it.
So it's a worldview that rejects moral responsibility, cause and effect, and any kind of higher reality or attainment?
Exactly. It undercuts the entire basis for ethical living. So these 10 actions, 3 bodily, 4 verbal, 3 mental, this is Gautama's explanation for why some people end up in those bad destinations. It's the outcome of living according to unwholesome conduct.
Okay, that's a pretty comprehensive list of things not to do. But he didn't just leave it there, did he? He must have offered the alternative, the path to the good destination.
Absolutely. He provides the mirror image, the positive blueprint. And this is where it gets really practical and, well, hopeful.
Right. So how do you cultivate righteous conduct and wholesome conduct? Let's break that down too, starting with the body again.
Yes. It's essentially the direct opposite of the unwholesome actions. First, abandoning killing.
So just not killing?
It's more active than that. It's being someone who has put down the rod and weapon. Someone who is conscientious, full of compassion, and actively benevolent towards all living beings.
So it's cultivating active non-harm and compassion.
Precisely. Then second, abandoning taking what is not given.
Not stealing, respecting property.
Yes, wholeheartedly refraining from taking anything not freely given. Cultivating honesty and respect for others' efforts and belongings.
And third, abandoning sexual misconduct.
Right. Again, consciously respecting those boundaries, not engaging improperly with those protected by family, those in marriages, those betrothed, and so on. Upholding trust in relationships.
Okay, so those are the wholesome bodily actions. What about speech? How do we turn that around?
4 wholesome verbal actions. First, abandoning lying, which means
yes.
speaking truthfully,
Yeah.
especially when called as a witness. Saying, I don't know when you don't, I know when you do.
Yeah.
Accurately reporting what you saw or didn't see.
Complete honesty.
Yes, and refusing to lie for your own sake, for someone else's sake, or even for some tiny material gain. It's about integrity in communication.
Okay. What's the positive version of slander?
Abandoning slanderous speech. And this is really powerful. It means promoting unity.
How so?
By not repeating things to cause division. Instead, being a reconciler of those who are divided. actively promoting unity among those who are already united, finding joy in harmony, enjoying concord, and speaking words that actually create unity.
Wow, that's proactive. Not just avoiding causing trouble, but actively building bridges.
Exactly. It's a constructive use of speech. Third is abandoning harsh speech.
So speaking kindly.
Yes. Cultivating speech that is gentle, pleasing to the ear, affectionate, heartfelt, words that are urbane, popular, agreeable to people. Basically, kind, respectful, and uplifting communication.
Makes sense. And the last one, the opposite of frivolous talk.
Abandoning frivolous talk. This means speaking at the right time, speaking what's true, what's beneficial, what's connected to the Dhamma and ethical disciplines.
So meaningful speech.
Yes. Speaking purposefully, making a clear point, ensuring your words are connected with genuine benefit, making your communication count for something positive.
Okay, body and speech covered for the wholesome side. Now, the mind. How do we cultivate a wholesome mind?
3 mental actions again. First, abandoning covetousness.
The opposite of wanting what others have.
Right, it's non-covetousness. Not looking at others' property and wishing it were yours, cultivating contentment, and maybe even appreciation for what others have achieved or possess.
Okay, and instead of ill will.
Abandoning ill will. This is huge. It means having a mind completely free from malice, developing wholesome intentions, actively wishing. May these beings be free from animosity, free from affliction, free from trouble. May they live happily.
That's a radical shift, from wanting harm to actively wishing well-being for everyone.
It's the cultivation of metta, loving kindness or goodwill, a core practice. And finally, the opposite of wrong view is, naturally, right view, Sāleyyaka.
So accepting those principles that wrong view denied.
Exactly. Holding a correct, unperverted view. Affirming that yes, there is giving, offering, sacrifice. There is fruit and result of good and bad actions. There is this world and another world. Mother and father matter. Spontaneously arisen beings exist.
And acknowledging enlightened beings.
Yes, affirming that there are recluses and Brahmins who live rightly, practice rightly, and have realized these truths about this world and the next through direct knowledge, and they declare it. It's accepting a moral and spiritual dimension to reality.
So it's really about cultivating the positive opposites, not just avoiding the bad, but actively doing the good in body, speech, and mind.
That's the essence of it. And Gautama says this is the reason, this is the cause why some beings reappear in a good destination, a heavenly world, that flows directly from this kind of conduct.
Okay, this makes the path clearer, but you mentioned aspirations. Does living like this open up specific possibilities?
It does. Gautama doesn't just talk about a generic good place. He actually gets into what someone practicing this wholesome conduct can realistically aspire to achieve.
Like what? Beyond just a better life next time.
Well, even within the human realm, one could aspire to be reborn into influential families, great noble families, great Brahmin families, great householder families, places where you might have more opportunity to practice and benefit others.
Okay, so better circumstances within human life. What about beyond that? You mentioned heavenly worlds earlier.
Oh, yes. He lays out a whole cosmology, really. Different levels of heavenly realms, or diva worlds. It starts with realms like the heaven of the 4 great kings, then the heaven of the 33.
Names we sometimes hear in texts.
Right. Then up through the Yamadevas, the Tusita Devas, where future Buddhas are said to reside before their last birth, the Nimanarati Devas, the Parinamidavasaphaiti Devas.
It sounds like a whole hierarchy of blissful states.
It is. And it goes even higher into the Brahma worlds, the realms of pure form, like the Avadevas, the Suhandevas, the Vihafala, all the way up to the highest form realms like Akaniye. And even beyond that, into the formless realms. Realms of infinite space, infinite consciousness, nothingness, and finally, neither perception nor non-perception. The point isn't necessarily to memorize all the names, but to grasp the sheer range of positive possibilities Gautama saw stemming from righteous conduct.
So living ethically isn't just about avoiding hell, it's about opening doors to incredibly refined and positive states of being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, and this is crucial, he takes it one step further, the ultimate aspiration.
What's beyond even those high heavenly realms?
Liberation. Right here, right now. Gautama teaches that a person practicing the same wholesome conduct can also aspire to and actually achieve the complete ending of all mental defilements, the asavas.
So enlightenment, nirvana.
Yes. Realizing liberation of mind, liberation through wisdom for themselves in this very life through their own direct knowledge and effort.
Wow. So this path of ethical conduct isn't just about future lives, it's the foundation for the ultimate goal in this life, too.
That's the implication. Righteous conduct opens the door to everything from a better human life to heavenly rebirths, all the way to complete liberation. It's foundational.
Okay, let's try to wrap this up a bit. We've gone through Gautama's teaching to those Sāleyyaka folks. We saw how actions, body, speech, mind are directly linked to our experiences.
Yeah, not just in the future, but how we're shaping our reality right now. It's incredibly practical when you break it down like he did. It takes these big ideas and makes them about tangible behaviors.
Right, so the core message seems pretty clear.
I think so. It's that your intentions and your actions genuinely matter. They have consequences. Living with kindness, honesty, trying to foster unity, having purpose, not being greedy, cultivating goodwill, and holding a right understanding of things.
It's not just nice.
Exactly. It's not just morally nice. It's presented here as the direct path. The path to well-being, to better states of existence, and maybe ultimately to freedom itself.
So for everyone listening, here's something to maybe chew on. Thinking about this detailed breakdown, all those specific actions of body, speech, and mind, what's one, maybe small, specific act from Gautama's wholesome list that you could intentionally practice today or this week?
Knowing that, according to this teaching, it's like laying a brick for your future well-being. How could even a subtle shift, maybe just in your intention behind your words, or a moment of cultivating goodwill instead of frustration, how might that start to make a real difference in your own experience right now and going forward?